We made a decision to get into this race at our kitchen table and against all the odds. And we made a decision over the weekend that while this presidential race for us is over for me, and we will suspend our campaign effective today, we are not done fighting. We are going to continue to fight for those voices. We're going to continue to fight for the Americans who stood up and gave us that air under our wings that allowed us to accomplish things that no political expert would have ever expected.
That's Rick Santorum stepping down from his presidential bid, says he's going to keep fighting. We'll have more on that and the latest on the ouster of Bo Xilai, China's Communist Party chief. All that and more right here, right now on the News Hub. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Simon Constable. David Widener joins me for the entire show. Thank you very much, sir.
Glad you're back, Simon.
Great. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here with you. Let's go straight down to Washington, D.C., where Aaron Zitner is standing by to give us the latest on the Santorum resignation. Aaron, would this clear the way completely now for Mitt Romney to take the nomination?
All but completely. This is essentially over. It has been for a while. What happened today was Rick Santorum bowing to the inevitable. Mitt Romney does not yet have the 1,144 delegates that are needed. That's the formal benchmark you have to hit to claim the nomination. But with Rick Santorum gone, the two men left in the race against Romney, Newt Gingrich and Ron Paul, are still very unlikely, not metaphysically impossible, but close to it, to stop Romney from getting the nomination.
You know, Aaron, I was watching this speech about him suspending his campaign, and I was reading between the lines, maybe too much, I don't know. But it seemed to me there were a couple things missing. First of all, Santorum did not mention Mitt Romney. He certainly didn't throw his support, say, I am standing behind Mitt Romney, he's my candidate. Secondly, he is suspending his campaign, which may be a technicality, but you wonder, look, the GOP is going to need that that 1/3 or more or less of the base that or the delegate base that Rick Santorum represents. Is he going to use sort of this opening, maybe leaving a little opening there to influence either the convention, a role as possible VP candidate? Did you see anything? Did you see the same speech I did, and did you see anything like that?
Well, a couple of points. Yes, it's true. He did not mention the name Mitt Romney, as far as I heard, and he did not endorse Mitt Romney. However, these moments are often about the candidate kind of grieving with his supporters at the loss of his campaign. We know that Santorum called Romney and that they talked. In a few days, you'll probably see them appear together, and at some point, you'll see Santorum endorse Romney. Now, there's an important question on the table, which is the Santorum constituency, the evangelical Christians and the very conservative, self-described very conservative voters who voted for him in large numbers. Santorum won 11 nominating contests, including a couple of swing states, and won more than 3 million votes to Romney's 4.6 million votes. Are those people going to enthusiastically swing behind Romney, or is Romney going to have to do some things to win them over, and is Santorum going to do some things to help those voters come along behind Romney? Romney wants to start the general election now. He wants to talk to the center of the country. He wants the subject to be Barack Obama, and the open question is how much work he's going to have to do to bring the Santorum folks in line before he can move to the general election.
So, Aaron, why is Newt Gingrich remaining in the race, given that it seems clear from everything you're saying and everything I observe and David observes that basically Romney's got it?
Presidential candidates are not like you and me, or at least not like me, Simon. You can speak for yourself. Their egos are different, and their preoccupations are different. Some would say that there's a certain amount of ego and vanity involved in lower tier candidates staying in the race. More specifically, Newt Gingrich might want a speaking slot. He might want to affect the conversation in some way at the convention. He might see that this, unlike Rick Santorum, who has a future. Rick Santorum is a young man. He's also a guy with 7 kids to feed, and so he has to think about his future in very concrete ways. He's built a certain amount of political capital. He wants to preserve it, and he's got a family to support. He needs to raise kids. Newt Gingrich is a man in the twilight of his career, and maybe he doesn't have the same needs to preserve political capital. He might not have another race ahead of him after this one, the way Rick Santorum could well have another race after this.
Hey, Aaron, just thinking now about this, who's going to end up as a vice presidential pick of the Romney campaign? Are we looking at the field who are looking for the nomination? We're obviously looking at people like Marco Rubio and some of the governors out there, some of the other leading Republicans. Is that a potential reason why people like Newt Gingrich and Rick Santorum stayed in so long? Do they have their eye on that job, or do you think they're not interested?
They may have their eye on that job. Boy, it seems entirely far-fetched that Newt Gingrich would be on the ticket. He's one of the most polarizing figures in American politics, even among Republicans. Rick Santorum, more likely, but still not likely. You want someone who balances the ticket and brings a state along with them, generally.
So, Aaron, what about Chris Christie, who I saw speak this morning here in New York City? What about him?
Oh, definitely possible.
Okay.
If it's Rick Santorum, though, we end up talking about Rick Santorum. He's got so many things that might have played well in a Republican primary, things, his social positions and such, that would remain as fodder in an unfriendly way in a general election. So that seems unlikely. But Paul Ryan, Chris Christie, Marco Rubio, despite her protestations, Susana Martinez, the governor of New Mexico, has been on the list. Rob Portman, who could bring along Ohio and whose virtue might be that he's unexciting and unlikely to stir a lot of discussion and focus on him and leave the focus on Romney. Those are the names that seem more likely now. Remember, though, none of us predicted Sarah Palin 4 years ago.
No, we didn't.
It's true. None of us did. And we got to leave it there. Thank you very much, Aaron Zitner of the Wall Street Journal, coming to us from Washington, D.C.